Well, hello everyone. It's a beautiful morning where I'm at. How about where you're at? It should always be a beautiful morning. I have a word. It's from Proverbs 3. I'm not really sure where I'm going to stop, but I'm going to start at verse 1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. Why should we do this? Because so shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. So what you supposed to do? What did God tell you to do? Keep his commandments. They are like food to your body. You will live a long life if you keep God's commandments. If you follow God's commandments. Verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to the navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. So what this is saying is let God feed you let God feed you through his connection with you. The only way God's word can get into you and stick to your bones and put a little meat on your body is if he gives it to you directly. Not meaning that your pastor can't, because your pastor should be giving a direct word for you. So that's God feeding you, having a connection with you directly. If you are under the correct pastor, which you must what? Pray to make sure you're going under the correct pastor. Right. Picking a church is like, right, it's a big deal. It should be. Why would you want a wolf teaching you and you're a sheep? It doesn't make sense. So what God is saying here, it shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. God is saying, I want to be your umbilical cord. We have to have an umbilical cord. Right. You and I connected. From my heart to your soul. You will have my spirit within you. And I will be able to continuously nourish you with my word as long as we have an umbilical cord to connect us. And the Bible is the umbilical cord. But you have to not twist and turn and get yourself tied up with the umbilical cord where it chokes off the word. Meaning, you got to get rid of things around you that are a distraction, that keep you bound up in other things other than what God has to say to you. If it is the music, it's time to cut back. If it's a type of music, cut it out. Because that is a distraction between you and this, right? You and this should never have any type of breakage. Now you take the hose, it should never ever get to that point to where it's bent. It should never get to that point to where something is standing on top of it. Where a heavy weight is on it, like a tire. Right. Because eventually, that hose is going to get worn down and, right, toe up. And it's going to get a leak. So you're not going to get the full proper word any longer. Because you done tied yourself up in something and you've allowed a breach to either tie you up and choke you and kill you away from the word, or spiritual death, or you done ran over it so many times and put so much pressure on it that it now has a leak. So it doesn't have its maximum effect. It's supposed to but it's doing like that. So there's no pressure to keep it going. Because with God comes pressure. So if you're not under certain pressures that are elevating you, because pressure from God will elevate you. It doesn't keep you stuck, it doesn't break you down. Pressure is meant to break you down. The type that comes from the world. So if it's coming from the world, it'll break you down. If it's coming from God, it'll elevate you. So for whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. That's verse 12. So you must keep your umbilical cord intact with God. And God always keeps his part intact. It's you who have to keep your part intact. You can't be twisting and turning and cartwheeling and stuff because you have a cord connected to him, which means you can't be going back and forth all over the place tripping. One minute you in faith, the next minute you in church, the next minute you in the club, the next minute you wilding out, the next minute you on drugs, the next minute you safe, you straight, you talking right. It's just too much going on and you filling your whole body with junk. Now God is the umbilical cord and he's feeding you the proper food. But you don't want it. You're trying to shove stuff in your mouth and you're not, you can't eat like that yet. Because you're still connected to God with that umbilical cord. God is the one who cuts the cord, not you. Because when he cuts the cord, that means you're ready for whatever assignment it is. You're strong enough to be out there on your own, coping. Whatever the case may be, you're able to be on your own now. You're able to survive on your own now. You're able to live on your own now. Not just exist with God's help. Because when you have the umbilical cord, you exist only because of God's help. So you're existing, you're not living. You're existing. Once that umbilical cord is cut from that baby and that baby's outside in that earth, that baby is not living. Once that baby's outside that womb, that baby is not living. But once it's inside, it's only existing because it needs the mother and the umbilical cord to survive. So survival is existing. Wow. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that giveth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all things that can desire are not to be compared unto her. She is wisdom. God considers wisdom feminine. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left, and riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasureness, and all her paths are peace. So with wisdom comes peace, understanding, pleasantness, pleasantries. You learn how to be pleasant. You learn how to give. You learn how to receive. You learn how to be what God has called you to be. And a lot of people don't understand that. God does not always call you to this. I'm going to say that again. There are other ways. We have to take all this gospel, church, jargon, spiritual stuff, jargon out of everything. I was chosen, I was called. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you're supposed to be preaching and teaching and evangelizing, doing anything. All right. God is supposed to direct your path. When you start running, God is like, well, when they stop and turn around, I'm gonna get there. I ain't running. I'm too old to be chasing behind little babies, right? You know how that grandpa too old with that bad knee, and he don't chase behind no baby. He be like, that baby better quit running. He notice I ain't chasing behind him, right? And stop and come back, right? So our ways are more pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. So God has to go before you and set your path in order for it to be proper. Otherwise, right? He has to, like the farmers, they gotta. Right. You can't just go out there putting out seed on top of the ground. The farmer has to go before you and make the little trenches. Right. Make the little trenches so you drop your seeds in it. Right. You just throwing them all over the ground. They're not going to take because then they got to come back over and cover them back up. Right. So they have to, first of all, know what ground did I clean up and move for the seed and where is the seed at? Was it put down? Covered back up. So now I have to remember where I put that seed at so I can expect the blessing, expect the growth, expect the upgrade. Because when you just scatter stuff, you stepping all on them, you're killing them. It's not going to take root because that ground wasn't cultivated properly. So wisdom is what cultivates that, what is the root, what holds within you. But the umbilical cord is God, and he's the only one who will cut it when you are ready to be on your own. Fully. God is always with you. Always. But he's walking you through as your parent until you fully understand life and how it's supposed to go. And then he cuts the cord. Unless he has a specific assignment in his ministry, then he don't cut the cord. Like with me, he didn't cut the cord until now. Right. He's always been connected to me until now. Other people he cut the cord early because I don't need you for ministry. But you are a solid, trustworthy adult. Right. You're full in Christ. So I don't need to stay connected to you. Right. Just go out in that world and be a good citizen, a great Christian. Right. That's it. Oh, no, you have an assignment, so I can't cut you loose until you're in your 40s. But this person could have got cut loose in their 30s, 31, 32, right. 25, right. And all your teaching with God depends on you, unless it is an assignment, a major assignment. Then he walks you slow. Otherwise, he takes you real quick. He gets you quick into adulthood. God ain't playing with you, letting you play around and be a baby in him for a long time, right. That's why you're not a baby for 5 and 6 years. You're a baby for 1 year. Right. Verse 18. She is the tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Right. So whoever gets wisdom, oh my goodness, it feels so good. It's great. But as you can see, people do hate you for it. But you too can seek wisdom. Right. You could have sought wisdom. You chose not to. You just chose to seek foolishness, lasciviousness, like riches and all that type of stuff. Money, females, males, whatever. Candies, drugs, doesn't matter. Trinkets. You chose that over God and his wisdom. So he had to cut you go because you got too sweet. You wanted to eat solid food before you even got out the womb. That's why the babies who swallow meconium. God got to slow them down. Right. Like, what are you doing eating already? What are you doing eating already? Right. The Lord, my wisdom, have founded the earth. By understanding hath he established the heavens. The Lord, I got to reread it. The Lord, by wisdom, have founded the earth. By understanding, he have established the heavens. Because I was thinking and reading at the same time about what I had just said. By this knowledge, the death are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall thy life be unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in the way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. That's verse 23, and I'm going to stop at that verse because God was just saying, as long as you have wisdom with you, you're going to be excellent, you're going to be great, you're going to make it. You don't necessarily have to be in a ministry to gain wisdom. Everybody should be wise, but wise in what God has to say in his instructions, because that's wisdom. God decided what wisdom is, not man. He says it right here in his Bible, excuse me, in Proverbs 3, right, up to where I stopped at, verse 23. No, where did I stop? I believe 23, 24. Whichever. So, back to what I was saying about that meconium. God said, what you doing eating meconium? What you trying to do? You trying to eat in the womb already. So he slows those types of kids down, and he keeps a strong eye on them because they too busy trying to be in an assignment before they even get out the womb. Right. These babies are trying to eat before they get out the womb, so they grown. Right. I'm going to leave that alone. That may be another teaching that God might bring to me, as a revelation for something else. But it's wisdom that you are supposed to get. Wisdom brings the understanding. Once you gain all that, God cuts the umbilical cord. Knowing wisdom breaks strongholds over you. Because once God breaks that, then that's when the strongholds want to connect to you, because they know God is no longer holding you like his baby. So that's when the strongholds come. So that's why you have that wisdom, that knowledge, and that understanding before God lets you go, so that you can break all the strongholds over you, whether they be spiritual or physical, self-brought, self-taught, or from outside forces. So your reward is peace, pleasantness, health, and wealth. Don't look for the wealth in the beginning. Don't look for it. It's coming. He keeps you sustained so that you're at peace, because you're being sustained. When you're sustained, you should be at peace. If you want too much, then you aren't in God. You are in greed, right? So with that, I'm going to let that go. If you want too much and you're doing too much, You're in greed. You're not in God. All right? Have a great morning.